Hi, this is Yoongun, followed by the sensor drone tutorial last time. Now I will talk about FPV tutorials and my experience. I will divide it to Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. In 2021 October, I started with DJI FPV, and in 2022 August, DJI Avatar was launched. And since then, I started flying DJI Avatar. So in Chapter 1, I will talk about my DJI FPV footages, and in Chapter 2, I will talk about DJI Avatar footages through my channel. The reason why I'm making this tutorial is because a lot of ordinary drone pilots try to level up to the next step, which is FPV drone, because FPV drone looks more dynamic, more cool, so everybody have a zeal to learn FPV. But the thing is that when you try to start FPV, you will face very hard times because it's so different and it's more hard to learn how to fly. So I learned by myself, so I know how the beginners will feel, because they want to ask somebody to your friends, but you will see that there aren't that much FPV pilots around you. So yes, so this will be like just telling my stories with my videos. So if you ask to some like FPV pilots, they will try to show their videos to you, and then they will tell stories and experience by the videos, right? So likewise, with my YouTube channel's videos, I will go one by one, and I will tell you the experiences and the things that you have to learn through that video. Yes, and you can ask somebody in YouTube, like YouTuber, like FPV pilots, and you can ask them how, and you want to learn from them, but they don't have that much time, and why would they teach you how to fly FPV? So that's the reason why I'm making this tutorial. This chronicle of my videos, the sequence is my development of FPV flying skills. So starting from my crashes and from losing my signals and trying to find my FPVs in mountains, and you'll see my leveling up, and you can see my diving at the buildings, divings at mountains, and surfing at the ridge of the mountains. So I was doing like ridge surfing. So you will see those kind of videos in my channels. And when I bought DJI Avatar, I found out that as it had a propeller guard, it had a total different usage, because you feel more safe and it's more accurate to fly, and it's more slower. So that's why you can fly more accurately. So that brings a lot of whole new world, and the usage of the drone changes compared to DJI FPV. There are three genres of FPV. The first is like me, taking shots of cinematic shots. So that's going to be the first genre. Second genre is racing. So that was actually the real purpose of development of custom FPV. And in Korea, there is the world-class racer, FPV racer called MCK Kim Min-chan Kim, and he's like number one in the world in racing tournaments. But when you watch his videos, you will find out that this guy is like totally an alien. Like, how can you fly like that? Even UFO would think that I can't fly like that. I'm sure alien is going to be astonished by this flight, how he's flying, not following the gravity at all. It's another level. And the third genre is freestyle flight, freestyle. So freestyle is different from cinematic. Like, it's more about enhancing your skills of FPV, like flying, like really like ripping off the skies like that. And like you turn, you twist, and you go in between somewhere, and then you twist again. And You need a lot of practice to succeed like that. To fly like that, you must start doing FPV in custom and you have to fix it yourself. And then it takes like tons of times and tons of money to fix your custom FPVs of yourself. But wow, but it is really astonishing that how can one human being can reach such a level like that in flying. Anyway, I flew like this also with my DJI Avatar, but my Avatar was like totally crashed. So, but it was really thrilling. Like it was really heart beating. So it was really exhilarating. So I want to tell you that you have to experience freestyling flight. Okay, this is the introduction of FPV, and let's now try to see one by one of my footages, and then you will see my development, and it's gonna help you a lot. Please subscribe if this helps. Okay, in 2021 October, I started with DJI FPV. Actually, it was launched in 2021 March, and that video was my first flight at the field. So like I was hatching from the egg for the first time. I chose this stage, this rice field, because if I crash, because there's a lot of mud under it and it's gonna like absorb the crash. So I was trying to reduce the wreckage, reduce the crash. But the thing is that, as you can see, there's a lot of water in this rice field. So once you crash, the thing is that it's going to be inside the water. And that means that in DJI after service, they're going to ask you for like pay about like $700 for DJI FPV. So try to find dry lands with a lot of rids so it can absorb the crash energy. Then the wings will not be broken. And when you crash here, like you have to walk inside the muds, which is really, really hard to find your drone also. So don't try to fly at the rice fields. It's not a good place to fly for practice. And what I learned in this day was that I always practice in my simulators. And as you can see in simulators, there's no gravity. And the custom FPV is much more powerful. That's why when you pitch up in like 0.1 seconds, and it's so powerful that it could withstand these kind of gravities. But in the real world, the thing is that I try to pitch up, but actually it crashed into the lands because I did not have enough throttle. I did not enough power to overcome that gravity. So I crashed like that, and I fell into the rice field. So what you have to learn is that in the real world, we have gravity, so which is really different. So try to pitch up a little bit faster than you think to not to crash at the ground. So you have to throttle up a little bit more faster than you think. So, but of course this varies among the FPV drones. So you have to test one by one. So anyway, that's how I started. So I never made a mistake like that, crashing to the lands. Second, I want to recommend good places to fly. When you try to fly in the cities, if there's a lot of people, they argue about the noise of FPV drones. But if you try to find these kind of like in the coasts, sea coast, the good thing is that there aren't people there, and it's really easy to get flight approval. So I really recommend to fly in these kind of beaches where people are not that much. I was actually standing there at the rock, and I was flying here, and it was a really good stage to practice turning and flying at the ridge surfing. I really had a good experience here. So I really want to recommend, try to find your sea coast in your country. And these, of course, if you like fall in these kind of mountains, and you can see like there's some kind of hawks always. So it's really fun to fly with hawks. Hawks are not scared of FPVs that much. So try to fly with them together. And what I experienced there was that I lost my signal of my drone. So I want to tell you this with this video. When I was a beginner, this is the most mistakes that the beginners make. The thing is that if your drone go over the mountain ridge, like here, like I was flying here, but there was a ridge here, but I flew behind that ridge. What happens is that if you fly behind the ridge, that the signal lines will be disconnected, and you're going to lose your signal. DJI Avata, yes, has better signal than DJI FPV because it has OcuSync 3.0 plus, but DJI FPV is OcuSync 3.0, so it has worse signal strength. And most of countries use CE frequency instead of FCC frequencies, which the US use. If DJI say this flies over 10 kilometers, it's based on FCC American standard. If you fly with CE, the European Asian frequency standard, it can fly only 2 kilometers. So if you fly over these kind of ridges, I'm sure your drones will get disconnected and you're going to lose your signal in your goggles. So you always have to see your surroundings. Where is the mountain? Where is the ridge? Where is like obstacles? You always have to think that you're like flying a kite with strings on it. If the strings are disconnected, you're going to lose your drone for sure. So like the monitor, if you see the shadows behind this monitor, you can see this diagonal shadows at the back of this monitor. So it's the same thing. If the lines are disconnected at the back of this monitor where there's shadows, I'm sure the same to your drone signal. So you have to always try to see where is the ridge and where is the mountain and where is the obstacles. So you have to fly a little bit higher. And the second thing, a really important thing is like you do settings in controller that when you lose signal, you put in RTH mode, which is return to home. It automatically comes back to you with GPS information. But the thing is, like when you're a beginner, when you lose your signal, like you get so freaked out, you press all kind of buttons in your controllers. But then what happens is that you're gonna cancel the RTH mode, which gonna end up with crashing to the mountains. So what I want to tell you is that when you lose your signal, be confident, trust your drone, just put your hands off from the controller and it's going to come back. So always remember this, okay? It's really, really important because a lot of the beginners make the same mistakes, like pressing all kind of buttons when the signal is lost. So when you watch others crashing, that's going to help a lot because there's a lot of lessons to be learned in that kind of videos. And my most memorable video was flying with this flock of birds. So last time I introduced about flying my DJI Mini 2 with a lot of seagulls in Hanam River, but with the FPV drone, I had chance to fly with this flock of birds. And in Seoul, when you go to the eastern part of Seoul, there's called a Misa Park. And actually I was flying there. And you can see this triangular field there. And I was flying at the Star Point. It's just a very wide place. And it's a really nice place where you can practice your drones in Seoul. And I was flying here. And actually this place is for where the military practice their parachuting at the weekdays. But in the weekends, it's open to the public, so you can go there and fly and practice. But this day, I was really astonished and I was really surprised that I could fly with actual birds like that. I joined to the flock of birds like that in a V shape, and I was flying them at the skies. And that time I realized that, oh my God, I'm a bird. Like, wow, I'm actually flying with the birds with my own eyes, like my head's up there, flying with the sky, at the sky with the birds. And that was a really shocking and really impressive experience that I ever had in my life. And next to it, there's another hawk flying next to me, like I was flying that. And that shocking and an impressment I was impressed that day was really, I can't forget that day. It was unforgettable day that day. Anyway, I want you, everybody, try to fly flock of birds and try to fly with them. Then you're going to be really, really impressed that with FPV flight. And what I want to talk to you about is diving. And with this in Hanam Union Tower, I dived for the first time. The second was diving at 63 building. And the third was the Trimaje building in Seoul. And actually, you have to learn diving in an FPV for sure, because it will bring you with more dynamic shots in your videos. This Union Tower is located near the Starfield, and it's located at the east of Seoul. It's called Hanam Union Tower. What the really good things about this place is that it has podium at the bottom, and there aren't that much people here in the weekends. So what I want you to recommend is try to go here. So even you have some kind of accidents, and when your drone falls, there aren't that much people at the ground floor, so you're not going to hurt somebody in a safety aspect. And when you go up, you can see these kind of benches, and you can sit down there and fly there, because most times a lot of securities comes and they don't let you fly. But when you go up there, it's for the security, it's really hard to find you. So it's really a good place to go there and fly drones. And even you crash, it's gonna just fall over that podium, which is the roof of the building. So it's quite very safe. So that was my first stage to practice my diving with FPV, and like going like side to the towers and going up to the towers. And you can go up to the towers, and it's not that high, so you can practice a little bit more, and you can turn around and you can twist. And actually, I tested a lot of flight here, and I got a lot of confidence in that day, and I learned a lot. And I really think it's really essential to try to fly and to practice in a real world like that place. And this Yuksan building, which is 63 building, at this 63 floor height building in Korea. This was one of the highest building in Seoul, and that was this is the first FPV diving in Korea. Now let's look into the safety issues when you're diving. When you try to take these kind of videos, the thing is, the safety is the most crucial things that you have to always think about and consider. So what I do is that I try to go here on the holidays in a very, very early morning times where there are very few people. Because if there are a lot of people at the daytime, it might be very dangerous when you crash. So always try to go here at the very morning times, early morning times, where there are few people and few cars. And the second important thing is that you have to be located at the right spot where the signal strength is good. Try to find that pilot spot where you have to stand. And the third is DJI FPV and DJI Avatar has the emergency button. And always try to press that button before you fly. You have to like virtually think that before flying, you always try to think that you're going to press it for like at the dangerous times. If you think first then fly, then you will manage to press that button in a very emergent situation. But if you do not think and just fly, if something really emergency things happens, you're not likely to press that button that much. So always put in your mind that you're going to press that button for sure. So try to and even me at that times, I almost crashed into the building because I was really beginner. But then now I thought, I should have always thought about pressing that button for sure. Then it would be more safer. And So try to always think that you're going to press this button for sure. Then it's going to be much safer when you do divings in cities. And this is why DJI FPV and DJI Avatar is much more safer than just custom FPV. And my third diving was in Trimaje in Seoul at the river coast in Seoul, in the middle of Seoul. I guess you have seen this building in Seoul, but that time I really had stomach ache because I was so stressed. Because here, yeah, it's cool flying like beside this bridge, Seongsu Bridge, and I was like flying over this Hangang River, and there was a lot of these kind of birds. And yes, if it was me this time, I might have went through that small gap, but that time I was a little bit beginner, so I flew over. And why this is so scary spot is because there is a highway at the coast right here in the north side of the Hangang River. So you have to go across these cars, and what if I crash there? It's gonna be a huge accident. So I was super stressed that day. So I flew only one time that day, and you can see I was really stressed. My flight isn't that looking good because I was so fucking stressed. But so I don't want to recommend to fly here for that much, but or you can just fly at the ground floor of this building. That's much better, but don't try to go across these roads because it might end up in a very bad situation if you crash over those highways. Anyway, I practiced really a lot to succeed that thing. I almost prepared more than 1 month to make that video happen. Anyway, because of those kind of 4 trials of diving, I think that's why I'm now in this level. And that made me to stand up here because I withstood that hardship. And I dived in that quarry, which was the highest quarry in Korea. And then I leveled up one by one. And then I dived in this waterfalls, in Hwangsan waterfalls, and in Busan, there's called Haeundae I Park. And let's try to go over this video one more time. And it's really easy to get flight approval there in Busan, and you can dive across next to this nice suspension bridge. But the thing is that when you dive in this Haeundae I Park, the thing is that you will get somebody's gonna ask you to stop flying because of the privacy reasons. FPV is fast, so it's really hard to see inside, but people don't think that way. They're gonna ask you to stop flying because it's in a residential building. But anyway, so just try to fly only 1 or 2 times and just evacuate. Then it's going to be, and I did this kind of turns because I practiced that in 63 building, and I practiced that in Hanam Union Tower, and I applied it to my diving in Busan Haeundae Park 2. And anyway, it's a really cool spot to do diving in Korea, and the building looks really fantastic. So try to always evacuate because the security guard they have CCTV and they're gonna ask you to delete your videos. And that time, just delete your videos at your goggles. Then they won't know that it's gonna be recorded in your FPV. So I saved. I had my videos saved that time, though I was caught by the security guard. And in Songdo Posco Tower, I dived it with Superman Lego in front of my avatar, and it was so hilarious. This is the really fun part of diving. You can go up to the penthouse, and you can dive from that spot, and you can see all the sceneries at the top of the building. And you really have to experience this diving of the buildings. And now I was a little bit more skillful. I did not have stomach ache. And I was flying with confidence that day, and going over the towers and seeing that sunset, it was super beautiful. And one thing you have to be cautious is that you do not go behind the buildings because you're going to lose the signals, because these stacked slabs of the floor buildings, the concrete slabs, will block your signal. So if you go behind the buildings, because you're in the ground floor, the signals will be disconnected and your drone is going to be stopped there. So always fly a little bit higher or to the sides of the buildings, and your lines should be flying like a kite. And here in Seoul, there's called Seoul Forest, and here it was super cool also. This building is also really cool. The Trimaja building is next to this building, and even also here is a very residential building, and you can see those kind of sunset, and you can go through these buildings. In Korea, these kind of flight approval is quite easy in Korea. You can fly next to the buildings in Korea yet. So because we are preparing drone taxis in Korea by law, that's why even FPV flight is a drone. So it's also approval is possible in Seoul. So I think that differentiates with other countries like Japan or USA or Europe. I think we are lucky that we can fly in the cities in Korea. And even this time, I was at the ground floor, but the line was disconnected and the signal of the drone was disconnected also at that time. So I'm still making those mistakes that time also. So you always have to try to fly a little bit higher than you think, so your drones will not be disconnected to your controllers. These are the experience that you have to always think of in your mind, that try not to go behind the buildings when you do building divings. Always try to fly next to the building and go up to the skies and dive from that point. Do not go behind the buildings like this monitor is showing. Do not go behind that, beyond that shadows of this monitor. Just, this is like a building. Do not always try to think that you're shooting a laser pointer, so you should be higher behind that building, behind that monitor, and do not go to the shadow part. Then your drones will be disconnected and you're gonna have in some kind of danger. So these are the main mistakes everybody makes. So try to fly higher. This is really, really important when you do building diving. And in DJI Avatar and DJI FPV, if you do not hack the FPV, and it's gonna stop in 500 meters because the manual mode's gonna be disabled in 500 meters by law. And so if you want to fly higher than 500 meters, you have to do hacking in dronehacks.com. You have to pay about $40 for that. These are the common sense that you have to know before diving in high buildings. Okay, I will continue to the second part. See you again.